we're going to try a horse today. And I wanted to show you the colors of the horse so that when we get to it, as usual, of course, I'm going to tell you, you do not have to stick to those horse colors if you want to. And we don't even have to make that decision because we probably won't make it that far in this class. We'll see. We'll see. So as usual, I'm going to box out the head because because particularly with the horse in this position, I want us to get a sense of like, I want us to have some help when we're trying to place where the nose is, how far out it comes. You know what I mean? That's why this is a subject where I would actually draw this box. If I was going to paint this for somebody, or I had to paint this, I would actually sketch this box out. I don't always do it, but I would do it here because it will help me kind of decide exactly how far to put the nose, where to put it, right? And because of that, I'm also going to divide. I want to do an actual proper like grid with 4 quarters, just 4 quarters, right? To do, which is, I guess, about halfway down the horse. So I'm going to find the halfway point at the top and the halfway point at the bottom. Let me see, the bottom. And I know I don't always do this, but here, I'm just going to bring this out just a little bit more. There we go. 1, 2, 1, 2. Yep. Okay. And I'm going to draw. You can use your, and you're just going to watch this for now, right? Because we haven't yet sketched it here. So I'm going to find the halfway point here, which actually is about halfway across the face. I mean, if I drew a line, I would be drawing it like this, but I don't think we need to do that. And then I'm going to find the halfway point here and here. Over here. 1, 2. So our biggest, whoops, sorry, messy. There we go. Ignore this one up here. So our biggest issue is going to be recreating this box proportionally, right, on our paper, wherever it is. So let's work on that. Oh yeah, I should probably find my quarter points as well. I bet they're going to come in handy. So I'm going to split this half in half. Yep. So I'm going to find my 4 quarter points as well. All right. So when I sketch here using my pencil, I could also use a paintbrush, but I'm going to use a pencil today. I'm going to set up for it. I want to make sure when I sketch this that I leave some room for the body, right? So have I done that? I don't think I've even done that here. Having said that, don't do what I say. Do what I do. Do what I say. So you notice I immediately put this line in the very center, but really I should be putting it just a tiny bit to the right. And then I'm going to find, of course, my halfway point. I don't really care. Nope, that's not the halfway point. Whoa, you can see where my brain is this morning. It's what happens when you get old and become a grandma. And then I'm going to find my quarter points. So this is my first. And then what's the next thing I'm going to do? What am I going to do? Now that I've established
the vertical. Oh,
I've done the
measure.
vertical.
You're going to measure.
Yeah, measure what?
Measure like how many heads, how many. Yeah.
Nope, not well. I got that. So I've got my vertical. I've just established my vertical.
So you're going to now. You need to establish the horizontal.
Yes, excellent.
To the
Excellent,
vertical.
Sandra. Yep, absolutely. So let's do that now. My pencil is exactly the length of the horizontal. And if I come up here, it looks like it's about just a touch more than halfway, like 2/4, like 2.5 quarters wide. That makes sense? 1, 2, and then about a little bit more than half. So I'm going to actually mark that up here. It's a little bit more. And then when I come here, right, this is basically, my pencil is basically the size of this. Here is one side. Here is the other side. Excellent, Sandra, by the way. Described perfectly. Right? So then I can draw the rest of my little box. Around these parameters. Everything I'm telling you is about, it's really about establishing the vertical, right? You don't need to create this box if you think you can get it. You really don't. But you do need to establish the vertical and use it to check your measurements. We were just doing this in yesterday's base drawing class. We had the jankiest portrait ever. And when I say janky, I mean, it really was an awkward and strange position. I was realizing we just do the same thing for everything. So this, what I'm showing you here, as we do these first points, it's really always about establishing the vertical and using it so as a base to set everything else. Sometimes what happens is we try to measure something that we haven't checked, right? Like we might try to guess this measurement and then we'll use this to try and measure things. But if this isn't correct against this, nothing works. So it's a system. Once again, it's like IKEA furniture. You don't want to do the steps out of order. Otherwise you're lost. There we go. So here, I'm going to take a picture of this. RC, and then go ahead and I think what's nice is we can use these quarter points to kind of establish, right? Like, gee, this is interesting. A little bit more than halfway. Remember, when you're trying to establish the distance of things, I'm really very heavily leaning on the negative space shape. So until I'm not really thinking about the ears right now, I'm kind of thinking about creating this shape. Now, in doing that, I will absolutely. And then again, over on this side, have I gone far enough? Nope, I need to go a little bit further. Right, and then again, I can come here and create this shape. I know, for example, that this ends just below the quarter point, so I can kind of come over here. This needs to be a little bigger. I'm also going to bring my ear down a little bit when I come in and sketch, so it might look a little short right now, but it will be addressed. And I'm going to do the same thing kind of over here. I need to bring this down more. There we go. Lately, I can feel that my drawing skills are going through kind of a push up. And what that often means is I'm making more mistakes. If you
This is
find
how
that,
you can tell.
what's that?
This is how you can tell.
Yeah, is that I'm making more mistakes as I'm pushing up because I'm doing more sort of and that's what I wanted to pass on is sometimes when you're kind of pushing your skills, you'll find that you make more mistakes in the short term because you're pushing your skills. So you're kind of trying to incorporate. And so you should keep that in mind because it can feel better, right? To know that.
Because
Hey,
you know
I'm
you
not, yeah, right? Like you feel like you're going backwards, but actually it's a going forward. It could also be just an issue of I don't have enough coffee. Like it's also true. But like I've been noticing it lately that I'm making more mistakes. And I think that's because I'm incorporating more deeply some of the rules that I've been teaching you guys. And it's not that I don't already use them. It's just that there's this, as you learn, there's this constant practice, right? Oh. Where you're learning it. Hi, kitty. So notice I'm coming across here to see that like the nose kind of, this once again, comes just above the quarter point here. So I'm going to come over here. And then once again, I'm really focusing on these, right, there you go, yes. Negative space shapes. I'm not even going to deal with anything over here. Down here, I'm going to do the same thing. Notice how I'm kind of like,
in your own.
it doesn't mean I'm not going to need to correct things. What it means is I have things in enough of the right places that my corrections will be more manageable.
But it will look like an equine.
Right? So this is, I'm not convinced I have this shape right. Like I'm like, okay, I think.
Something from that species.
Right? We'll do a horse tomorrow too. That one that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
and in Procreate, the bird that we're going to do, for the first time on Sunday, Emma's not going to have you trace it. She's going to have you draw it and then show you how to place the photo into the drawing so you can check your drawing.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I think we're ready for that. And I think that bird shape is fairly simple, right? I mean, I always say that, and then I'm like, what was I thinking? It's not simple at all. Yes, so anyway, yeah, if you notice that you're kind of, now if you're making the same mistake over and over again, then it's a different issue is happening. But if you're making mistakes that you don't normally make, like I don't normally make as many mistakes in drawing as I do now, that's generally a sign that you're kind of understanding drawing at a deeper level based on the rules that you're learning, right? Like you're building upon that. I suppose learning a language feels the same way. There's this point where you don't have to think so hard about language structure, about grammar, and then you're able to express a little bit more freely. Then you go to a deeper level of understanding. Drawing is really a language. And as we learn the language of it, it's kind of magical what happens to the brain. I see why people older people want to do it, because it is absolutely a great way to kind of maintain your processes. So I'm going to send this over. I'm very excited too. Tosh Ween is going to come visit Portland next week.
Oh, cool.
And we're gonna go out paint together. To take her somewhere nice, as long as it stays nice outside. I'll try to have her come in and say hello.
Are the ears there 5 times, do you reckon?
What's that?
The ears 5 times? 1, 2.
5 times. What do you mean?
Like the number of the ears, 1, and then all the way down to here, I make it 5 ears.
Let me see. 1. If I come down here,
So where the soft muzzle, I'm counting not on the neck, not this ear, the other
not
ear.
there. This one. Oh, right.
Yes,
Where there's the
because I
hard
want to go all
stop.
the way down.
2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, exactly, Sandra. Excellent. Yeah, this is a great one to use, right? Because, and I'll sketch this in now, right? It's there's a kind of hard stop.
Leah, how did we decide the width of this box? Just
How high up is that?
a little above the halfway mark.
Of Q3, right? So it's like 2.5 quarters.
Okay.
It's too hot already.
So you can also, Rashmi, try to figure that out yourself, right? By holding your hand like this. You can actually just hold your pencil out, step back from the, here, I'll show you. You can step back from this, you can step back from your drawing so that you can hold your arm out straight. And then you can check it like this.
You're saying
Right.
hello? Hello?
Hello.
Yes.
Hi, sweetheart. You can check it.
Lion.
So it's a good, hi. Here, hold on. I'm gonna add the spotlight so we can see. Hi, buddy. Hi. He's just like, they're almost never like that.
But I removed the
Usually-
easel yesterday, so we have more space now.
Ah, so that'll be the appearance. Oh, how are you guys doing? Any news?
I feel it's hot.
It is. It's a little muggy here. Must be roasting
It's
in
me.
India now, or is it still
Ugh.
rainy season in India?
Yeah.
Rainy and hot?
Not that much in Bangalore, but yes, it is. I mean, it's just a bit humid here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rest of India is pretty hot. So it's around, well, like Delhi and all have touched around 50 degrees this year. I mean,
Oh, this is horrendous.
Wow. How does anybody survive that?
I thought we had 50
Yes,
degrees.
yeah,
There were
global
those blower.
warming is, yeah, it's like crazy. So, I don't know. I mean, I'm happy that we moved from Delhi. We used to live in Delhi earlier. So,
Right. Do you
Because
have a lot of
the-
family in? Go ahead.
I don't have family, but I have a lot of friends. So I did all like my college and my masters, everything from Delhi. I spent like, the first about 12 years of my, 10 years of my career there. So yeah, my entire circle is there. I don't have my parents, so yeah, no family as such.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Lost
Did
them.
they, I guess it's none of my business. So what happened to them, but like, it's actually none of my business.
I lost my mom when I was 3 years old.
Oh,
And
do you remember her?
not much.
Yeah.
And I lost my father when I was 15. So,
Oh, wow,
yeah,
Raj.
So when
living
you-
on my own I have an elder brother. We have a 10 years difference. So I stayed with him initially, but then he moved out of town. I was still in my high school, and so I finished schooling. So I've been living on my own since I was 17 and a half. So yeah.
Wow. Do you know what's interesting,
Yeah.
Rashmi?
Yeah.
Sandra also has been living on her own very young, and so was Diana, right? Like,
But in
kind of-
different circumstances, mine was
yeah,
easier.
different circumstances, but I find that interesting that we have so many people in this class that have that
Yeah.
experience. Boy, that's a real make or break 'em kind of experience. Thank you for sharing that.
It's okay.
We like to know who our people are. Well, whatever has happened to you in life, Rashmi, it has made you an incredibly kind person. So that's amazing to me. Love it. Let me send this across so you guys can see the marks very clearly. I'm kind of moving into the inner, and you'll see I'm doing some adjusting to the ear. One of the things I'm observing is that the ear kind of dips down, but it's still kind of above this quarter point. So there's a kind of length I'm trying to get. See there? Because it's the ear that's closest to us without dipping below here. Okay. Yeah, keep going. It looks pretty good, Ani. Keep going. This is the tricky section, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be
And
adjusting
and
it
you
here
can
and there.
see, because I'm working on it too. One of the
I have-
things, yes.
I
this
have
is
impression
more-
that it's also because of the color.
Yeah,
Its ears are
exactly.
completely like, like they have weird shape, honestly.
It's a weird shape, yes. So focus on the
Not
shape and not
regular
what
one.
it is, right? That's the
Mhm.
key. Right, and then here, be fun to make those. And then if you want to, of course, you can add in what's outside the box. If you have room, or you can just leave it where it is. Here. I'm still using my quarter points and my halfway points to help me figure out kind of where things start and end. Right? I know this nose, this white area of the nose part kind of curls. And don't get too into the curves until you've got the sort of box around, right? If I start boxing in this too much, trying to get these curves in, I'm gonna make them too big, right? That's, oops, yeah, see, look, we did it. So. In further. Looks like Annika's having a great time in her new place.
Yeah, she looks happy.
And the cat
Maybe we
is
should have
not.
taken Peacock.
I don't think they can take him.
No,
And
also
you know,
probably, I think he's got a
and
family.
you know, they're leaving. They're going to Sweden in a year or two. They
Yeah,
can't take,
you're right.
they can't take the peacock there. He's just gonna have to,
Yeah, the cat is freaked out, but they also get freaked out if your place is full of boxes.
right,
You know, like,
change
it
freaks
doesn't
them
look like
out.
a house
Change freaks them out.
when you
Cats
pack.
Cats are freaked out by everything. That's absolutely true.
But he saw dogs.
Mm.
Okay, one of the things I'm really finding I'm having to be clear on is where is this mark in relation to this? And I would say
Mhm.
it's almost halfway from here to here. So you want to find the halfway point. I keep scooting it. And then come in a little, it's about here. This. There we go. And the reason I knew it wasn't right is that I could see that there was a lot of space here on this side. That's kind of that dark brown. So I was looking at this space and really noticing, okay, I think this comes down a lot less than I think it takes up less space than I think. I might come in just a little bit. Yeah, there we go. It's millimeters.
Yeah, actually, it's very weird because it's in life, most things are millimeters. I used to
Right?
think, we're talking about big changes, but no.
It's almost always so much less than we think, right? Look,
But
I just
even
made this too big.
I was looking at difference of shoe size, and it's the difference between sort of 8.5 and 9 is 4 millimeters. I mean,
But that makes a huge difference,
but how? Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
always amazed. How can you let me
right?
get-
But it is, I know. Isn't that fascinating? That's fascinating. It is really fascinating. Be careful, you'll want to make
Oh,
this
I
thing
messed
too
up
big
that.
too. Okay, and when you're ready to locate the eye, we will talk.
I have a weird question.
What's that?
How you would call the color of this horse in English?
No, is it bay? I'm not very good.
I want to call it burnt sienna with ochre, but I know that's not what you're asking. I don't know the answer to that question. Light brown.
No, they have names, the
Yeah.
horse.
Yeah.
Exactly, because I mean I know most of them in Polish, but I have no bloody idea how it's in English. I never.
What would you say
I-
in Polish? Not.
I would say jabłkowite,
Yeah,
which
it's
means
bay.
apple.
I think if you look up, well, I don't know.
Let's look here. I'm going to look right now and tell you what a bay looks
There's-
like.
I found a chart. Shall I send you a chart?
Yeah, send the chart.
Yeah,
Hold on.
that's curious.
Yeah, it's bay. I think it's bay. I think you're right, Sandra. Well, bay's a little darker.
Yes, it is. So that's why I'm sending you this.
So maybe it's, send the chart across.
If I can. Oh, it is a Pinterest.
They call this, it looks to me like it's wild bay. A wild bay is lighter. But he's got black mane. I don't know. I don't know.
Then it's done. D-U-N. There's so many. And I
Mhm.
find that the charts are actually, yeah, it looks like D-U-N.
All right.
So funny.
I'm gonna take a screenshot.
Yeah,
I mean,
and just send it over.
there are better charts, but this is one I could copy easily.
Mhm.
And I think there are many, many more colors than this shows. But according to this, I would say it's done.
Done. Yep. Is the
Yeah.
dun have a white mane?
No, it's got dark mane.
But maybe mane.
Oh, this has got a
coloring.
white mane. So, but I don't think it's a Palomino. Palomino is even lighter, isn't it?
No,
Yeah, I
Palomino,
thought
no,
a
this is
Palomino
not
was
Palomino.
spotted,
Mm.
but I don't know.
Oh.
But the
I
fact
don't
that it's
know.
Palomino, it's really cute.
It's really cute.
Done, that would be this one, yeah. Oh, I think so. However, this one has a white,
White
rather
Mane, yeah.
bright
So
mane.
So that's the question.
Somewhere between Palomino and Dun.
I think
But
it's probably.
but these words don't mean anything, right? They're classifications that are kind of far.
I guess it's important if you're buying one
Yeah,
and you want to breed.
right.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about the eye, getting the eye in the right place. What I'd like to do is have you actually from the, we're going to do an extra set of lines so I can really show you how to track this. I'm going to draw from the quarter point to the edge here. And then from here, I'm going to draw up to the equivalent of the quarter point up here, right? So if I was making a little extra square, this is where I would do it. Now notice where the horse's eye goes. It kind of goes just to the left of where they meet. So I'm putting in that cross to help me like figure out, you can see, of course, the eye goes right about here.
I eyeballed it and I made it right.
Yay! You know,
Pure
there
accident.
does come a point where your eyeball gets better. But as I said, as I was just explaining, like, you know, my drawing is pretty good right now. And I'm going through a phase where I'm missing everything. So, you know, it comes back and forth is really what's happening.
I'm not gonna. I don't know if I ever get to my grandpa's the abilities, because my grandpa had like a measure in his eye after 40 years of teaching maths.
Right. Well, a lot of math, actually, honestly, a lot of math people really struggle with drawing. You have to have a certain kind of brain that's visual. So he must have been very visual. I find the math people, the logic is a how do I say it? It's like it's too tangential. It's not like, it's not concrete enough to be able to apply it easily.
You know,
that's
you
what
put
I
it in
found.
the wrong place when it looks like Picasso already.
Right? So try this little cross here to locate it.
But what you're saying, Leah, it's actually, something that I noticed in my mom when she focuses too much on where she thinks the things are. Basically, the math.
She's
math
wrong,
brain
right?
is just basically getting crazy. When she just lets it go, everything that she does is really, more beautiful.
Right.
Simply.
Now I'm gonna
Same
see
thing.
how much I can fit. It's true. So I find, yes, I've got like students who are mathematicians, they seem to really struggle, which I find interesting more. But however, the coders, the people who are coding, computer coding, they do better. They do better. So there's something different about coding that requires a kind of visual mindset. Engineers tend to do pretty well, right? Because there's a whole sort of structural.
Because they have to do
drawing as well.
They're half right, and so do right. You could say the same thing about architects, right? On some level, they've got it. But there's something I've just noticed over the years that the mathematicians struggle, the pure mathematicians struggle, and the coders don't. They just don't. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's something in that mindset that sort of predisposes you Here we go.
Maybe it's abuse of logic.
It's, you know, it's just your kind of, there's something about it that there's something about coding that requires you to apply translation, to translate the numbers to something that you can see, right? Because it's really ones and zeros, right? So you've got to, on some level.
Leah,
Yeah.
in your, both in your drawing and in your photo, it's difficult to see because of your lines. But on the left, for the left eye, there is you can actually see the eye
It's just
socket.
a little space here. Yeah.
There's the eye socket,
Yeah.
and the corner of the right eye is at the bottom of the eye socket of
It's
the photo.
kind of here. Yeah, it's a little hard to see. So we
Yeah,
can
so
add
what
it
I-
in
what I'm
later.
saying
Under
is
the fringe.
Yeah, it's under the first fringe.
the corner of the right eye, the
Yep,
inner corner
right
of,
here.
of the right eye,
Yep,
the one on the right, not the one, is at the bottom. You can see it better on the photo. Is at the bottom of the eye socket for the left. That
right,
makes,
right.
you can't see it on
Yep,
yours.
yep. You can't see it a little bit. We'll get to it. Because we can't see it, we're gonna
But you can on
focus
the
on it.
photo.
You
You can on the photo see it
focus.
very well.
Yeah, you can, we will focus on it when we get to that, but remember not to focus
No, but
too
it's
much
the
on it.
placement of the eye. I'm bringing it up now because
Right,
it's
it's a placement,
yeah.
right, so right here, right, exactly, yep, exactly. But it's weird, it's just this little line, right, like here, right there.
you can see it better without all the orange.
Sure,
Yeah, on the
I
photo.
mean, we have to get it in there so that you guys will, I have to get that in there first so that you guys will not focus on too much detail at the beginning. Because if that is like, right, it's a tiny little, listen, I know it's
But
the
it's
other eye.
bone structure. It's
Well,
crucial.
yes, I got you. Don't worry, we got it. But it's also easy to add in at a point where we don't need to see. When we don't, I understand what you're saying. Absolutely. It's important bone structure. It's also a tiny little line. So if we get everything else in the right places, it'll be easier. We can add this in on the second layer. But anyway, it's here, right? And when we get to here, we'll be able to add that a little bit more. If you wanted to, you could make this shape a little bit more. That would help it to see it. Right, this little triangle up here is really what helps you see it more. That's like a better way of thinking about it. The shape is, yeah. And as Sandra says, if you line it up here, yep. And that's because his head is turned kind of down a little bit, right? He's cocking his head a little bit. So this eye is down a little bit lower than this eye. Nice work, Ani. That looks pretty good to me. Let's see. Rashmi, eye is too small.
Yeah, I'll make it bigger. I just realized once I sent you the picture that the eyes
Isn't
are
that funny? Like, it's so funny how we.
I like this moment when I just try to make the picture and I see that everything is off.
And Rashmi, I also, and remember, I really struggled with this, so I want to just emphasize that. This, you want to make this a little bit bigger without bringing it below the quarter point, right?
Oh, okay.
This here, because, and the reason is, we can see it, it's close to us, right?
Yeah.
It's closer to us.
I think
Sandra,
this is
how
the
is,
hardest drawing I've made. I mean, I've just been erasing and trying to make it. I didn't know how hard
interesting.
it was.
Well,
So-
horses are, I think horses are hard because their bone structure, as Sandra's pointing out here with this bone, you know, paying attention to bone structure, it's different. It's like very dramatic. It's large, right? It extends out a lot further
I
than
guess
a lot of other animals. What
They're
was
so
that?
bony. They're so
They're so
bony.
bony. Yes, they're so bony, and their nose extends so far out. It's hard to kind of figure out where everything is. It's so interesting.
It's good in a way, very good exercise because they're full. All you see is like muscles and bones.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, so you can, there's shapes you can grab onto. It's easier to grab onto the shapes, isn't it? Very good observation here, Sandra. I like this observation that you've made about this eye socket here. It's important. You're right. I like it. Can you send us yours when you're done?
Yeah, I've just realized something looks weird. I think I've made his muscle too fat. I'm having trouble placing his chin because, you know, there's the white muzzle, and then there's a dark chin underneath. I'm sending it to you now. See what's.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
I think I can still even make this bigger. We'll do this fine. This helps make it bigger too, Rashmi. You can see that I notice I'm just adding it in right now. You can see Onyx got it in pretty well. This sort of little white fold here, or lighter fold. Helps make that look bigger. So where are you? It looks like this is too far over. So Sandra, I'm just trying to figure out how to so what I would say is line it up with the ear. So if here, hold on, let me show you this so we can, here, let me take a ruler so you can really see it. If I go straight down from the ear.
So from the tip of the ear.
Right, from this inside tip here, right, from here, the tip of the ear, if I go straight down, here is where.
It's on the other side. Yeah.
Yep, I struggle with this too. So yeah, it's easy to want to make it too big, right? I made this too big like a million times before I finally tracked it down. This, by the way, is a great technique. Now, Sandra's, I don't think you're using Sandra's just eyeballing, right? So she's trying to do this.
With my tool.
But you're not doing.
I didn't do the square.
This, right? So you can still do this without the square. Notice this is not the square isn't really necessary to do this. It's just kind of once you've established where things are, you can use this. It's a little bit like that plumb line. And if you're standing, once again, if you don't have the paper in front of you, right? I do, but you don't. So I've got the camera positioned in such a way that you can stand back and see, hold your pencil, right? Straight up and see what's directly below this piece, right? What's directly below. Hold your arms straight. And that will help you. That's what we mean by you're kind of constantly checking. Here we go. No, I see you're measuring. Hermes, look up. Look up. You want to see Hermes? Here, hold on, I'll go get him. Yes. I got the thing. Thank you for indulging me. I one-shot my children. Oh, he's very wet. He's been wandering around in dirt.
Where's he been?
I think outside in the dirt. Here he is.
Hi, Hermes.
So cute.
So you let him go out in the dirt now and he's okay?
Yes,
Good.
yes. He's the happiest cat I've ever, he sticks super close. And yeah, he runs around in the dirt and he's okay. It's amazing.
Be careful. I keep an eye on him because sometimes boys like to explore further.
Yes, you've told me. Yes, I do. And it's interesting. He slipped out once about 2 months ago. And I was like, I am just, and trying to get him back was impossible. He was just running around, he wants to be outside. So I thought, all right, I'm just going to sit here and wait. And after about an hour, he was right back at it, right back. Right. And then we started experimenting with, can we let him out and play in the dirt and will he come back? And he always so it's been a few months.
That's fantastic. I mean,
he's a mom. We still have the catio, so he still spends time in it, which is hilarious. I'll
He
still
asks
run.
to go in it.
I just keep the door open and he jumps in
Oh,
when
I
he
see.
wants to. He has a very strong sense of, and because the other cats find him annoying, like, he really is, he sticks very close to the people. He's like, one of my cleaners calls him the greeter, because like he'll be like, oh, hello, come on in. This is my house. Come on, I'll show you. Here, come back here. Yeah, the backyard. He's found, there's one boy stray that will play with him, who comes to eat here. And that boy will play with him, but no one
Then
else. The
you know-
girls, Mabel and Muka, are just like, you're an idiot. I can't stand you. Go away.
So he's vaccinated against everything.
He's vaccinated against everything. He's got, you know, he is. He is like, got fleas, all stuff all the time. And
What do you do for fleas?
I actually, the vet prescribed something, because now the stuff that we used to use, Advantage, doesn't work anymore. So we
Really,
have
you
to
got
get,
fleas with that?
yeah, with that.
So
And
what
what,
do you
what
use?
seems to have, I don't know, it's some prescription. I can look it up if you want me to.
But how do you give it to him?
I put it on the back of his neck, you know.
Oh, so it's like a revolution or
It's
something.
like Revolution or something, but none of the over-the-counter products work anymore.
But revolution is not over the counter.
It's not, I don't think it's Revolution.
over the
It might be
counter anymore.
Revolution.
You can buy it in Australia for less money.
Oh, yeah? Wow.
Yeah.
So you use, maybe it is Revolution. I'll have to check. I don't actually know.
It
Nice,
is,
Rashmi. There you go. That looks great. That looks great.
Thank you.
I'm just checking to see here. Now I'm just putting. So I will say, you might want to scoot. So notice again, if I put from this left edge of this ear,
Yeah.
notice that the white is on this side, is on the left side. So if you put your pencil or your ruler straight down, you might want to shorten this a little bit.
Okay. Yeah.
It's easy. It's easy to. Do it.
Oof.
Just to remind you guys, oops, sorry, let me get that. There we go. Sometimes it gets confused and doesn't know where to focus. This is nice. If you want to, you can also like add in a few of like these kind of darker spots here. They're kind of midtones right here. I see one here. I see like these little lines that show his cheekbones. So down here, once you really look, you'll see it's like kind of darker. It's like a kind of darker midtone that comes up here, and it's lighter here. And then of course, there's some interesting stuff. Now it gets a little harder to see. But if you want to, whatever you want to do to mark those. By the way, Sandra, I want to really credit you. I really am seeing this tremendous push upward in your drawing. It's a delight, an absolute delight. Are you feeling it yourself, or are you only doing?
No.
No, of course. I know
Well,
you.
no.
But it's good to think. I know you. That I know you. But I want to just point that out. This push you're doing with your drawing is delightful. You're absolutely in the process in the right way, in a way where you will continue to get better and better and better. It's fantastic to see. All of you are in that zone. All of you are in that zone. It's nice to see how the push is happening. And it's good to remember actually that yes, although one makes mistakes, sometimes that means you're growing.
Mm.
Unless you
So
make the
like,
same
look at it.
mistake over and over again. It's true, it's true. I'm not trying to be Pollyanna on you, I promise, I swear. All right, and when you guys are ready, what are you all thinking about underpainting colors?
Prussian blue.
Prussian blue, all right. Ani, looks great. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, you can go ahead and get started. As usual, you start with your darks. Rashmi, what are you thinking about for underpainting color?
Not thought about it. I'm just.
You're still
thinking
working on the drawing? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Sandra, what are you thinking in your process? Are you gouaching and are you watercoloring and
No, I'm
gouaching?
gonna do watercolor, which
Okay.
I haven't done in a while and I miss.
So, and are you going to try and go for the colors?
Yes, the real colors.
Okay.
well.
The bay, whatever it is.
Yes. He might be a slightly different shape, but our problem is that main. I might do a different color main. Is it white? Actually, I can do kind of a whitish main, but my face still looks weird.
Hand it over, send it over. It's probably something small. I'm sure it's something small.
No, it looks.
Oh, I believe I have hired the political cartoonist to teach to do either a demo or a class during the first week of October during Mental Health Week. I got to call him today.
Person?
Yeah, this is the dad of a Reuters person.
Oh, is that Jason Zepp's dad?
Yeah, yes, Jason Zepp's dad. Yes.
He's a Pulitzer Prize winner.
Yeah, yeah, he's going to do it. Isn't that great?
Wow.
I know. All right. I feel like Sandra, it might be down. This might be out a little too much. Right?
I know that's what it looks like to me, but I put it there compared to here. Maybe I need to move here instead.
Yeah, let me look. The ear looks like it's in the right place.
Oh, I know.
So let me look. So 1, 2, I think this part is too long. I think this part is too long. Okay. So let's check it here. So from here, when I say this part, I mean the kind of straight, here's the eye, right? Like this straight part here.
Right.
Measure that and check it. It's literally 1/4. So so it's about, oh, you don't have the 1/4 points. All right. It's literally, maybe it's about this tall. Oh, it's not. It's shorter than the distance from here to here. See that?
Okay.
I'm betting that yours, so if I come here and I mark this here, here, and here, right? I want this to be significantly shorter than the distance from here.
Maybe down to the upper lip. Oh, we don't see.
Down all the way to the, from here to here. Right? So compare these two. This should be shorter, significantly shorter than this height. And the reason I'm using this height is that you can adjust this height to be a little bit taller, and then that shortens this, right? So that's also part of the.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just think it's easy to do that. All right. Rashmi, just send it in whenever you're ready. And I'm just thinking.
Well, that looks better.
Yeah. So, and the reason I did that, Sandra, is I thought, oh, the quickest thing to do will be she'll shorten here, and that will automatically lengthen this, right? So you don't have to do so much correcting down here and blah, blah, blah. What's really happening is like, we've got this, right? Since I'm about to move this over, I can draw on it. We've got this box for the front of the nose, right? And then there's the side. So this is the front. That's the side.
It looks completely wrong.
Let's see. That looks great, Rashmi. Looks great.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. So what color are you going to use?
Would ultramarine blue be too bright for this?
Not for a base. I think it would be great.
So I'm planning to use
Do it. All right. Now I have to decide what I want to do with mine, but I want to, Sandra, I want to be with you here until we get your drawing to where you're.
Oh, don't worry. I don't want to delay you because I'm really messed
That's
up.
okay. I'm just I'm in kind of a, you know what? I'm going to go make a quick cup of coffee and then I'm going to come back and look at your drawing again. So if you feel like you haven't gotten it, let's look at it again.
Sure.
There it is. All right. How are we doing?
Hmm. Go ahead and paint, guys. I don't want to delay you.
No, they can paint. They're painting. I'm fine.
Okay.
I can catch up in a minute. I don't even know if I'm gonna paint this time because I think well, I probably will. I should probably lay a little bit of color down. All right, you guys are doing, let me think. You're doing blues. I'm gonna look at my colors and decide. I'm gonna, just to, not to be contrary, but to show differences. No, that's not gonna work. I was gonna try ochre. Obviously, the burnt sienna is gonna play a role in the top here. So. You know what, I'm gonna try bright red.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Bright cadmium red. Just, I want to give you, so I want to, since you two are working in blues, I want to see, let's see what happens when we layer different colors down there. Also, cadmium red is my kind of go-to base. I use it almost exclusively these days, unless I'm working on something very specific. So there it is. Here it is. Cadmium red. And I'm just going to use this as my dark. So here we go. I'm painting in the darkest areas.
I'll show you the blue.
I love cadmium red. It is a really fantastic. Notice I'm going into the shadows first. Might use yellow for my lightest areas. We'll see how that works. It's funny because cadmium red is not as dark a color as others. You can see I'm applying it without much water in the dark areas. Let's see, it's dark in here. It's dark up here. It's dark up here. Okay, I think everything else is kind of more mid-tone. So my mid-tones, I'm watering down. Down in here. It's okay as usual, right? Because we're using acrylic to make everything a little bit darker. But I do like to show a difference between kind of medium, dark, and light in some way. But if you can make, if your medium and your light become darker, that's also all right. And then I'm gonna kind of brush this in around.
I figure out why again it's such a muddle. It's because when I don't print the photo, I'm looking at my iPad, but sometimes I make the photo bigger and sometimes smaller. And so when I take measurements, I get
You get
hopelessly muddled.
confused, right? Because you're doing those one-to-one measurements, right? Which don't, right? So what I'm showing you is proportional measurements, which should help you,
confuse me.
right? Should help you be able to,
I mean, I
do
also
whatever
do
size.
But I do a mix and I get into trouble.
Yeah. It's the one-to-one is problematic for that reason.
Well, particularly if you're going to move the model size, change the model size.
Right in the middle of your trying to measure things. Exactly. Damn it, it was such a good system.
I need to print for photo to do that. I didn't.
But this is good because Sandra, at some point you're going to start working from life, and then you can't print the photo, right? Because it's right in front of you.
And it will move.
And right. So you're going to want to be able to learn to eyeball and proportion out these things. Okay. And then I think I'm just going to do a very light wash for the white areas. So that's how loose this painting is going. And look at, I really love how a good sort of a classic with nice lights and darks, how much just getting the lights and darks in and the shapes really, is 80% of the painting. It's all the work at the beginning. Then it just becomes fun. Oh, that looks great. See, Onyx, look at Onyx and look at this.
I don't know if I want to go further.
I know, right? And
gorgeous.
sometimes you don't have to. You could just, you don't have to. You could just keep working the darks and lights with that color. You absolutely don't have to.
I mean, I probably will, but I'm that's why I made the picture also to keep it, but
right,
because I want to try the color of the horse as it is.
Yeah.
But honestly,
take pictures so that you can at least print it later, right? That you did it. And here's my red horse. I'll take a picture of it. This is one of my horses. So you can see how loose these layers are. Because we're working in acrylic, I'm really just trying to highlight the lights and darks. I'm not getting into too much detail. And I can pick any color that I want, right? For those of you who are watching the video and not actually in the class, you can see that like some people are using blue for their bases. And in fact, I'll make sure to tell the video editor to put those in so everybody can see them, because I think they're really nice. And I think that just shows, I have actually had people stop me at a base painting and buy it, right? I'm like, but that's just the underpainting. They're like, nope, I want it just like that. So there is a kind of beauty and an elegance to it when you get it right. It's not always that way, right? And the idea is not to put pressure on yourself to make it ready, but sometimes it just is. That's just the way of it. Nice. Sometimes you're in the tune with the thing, and sometimes your brush just knows what to do. All right, I will be right back, you guys. I've got to deal with something. While your paint is drying, take a break, right? Once you've painted your base layer, actually stop, let it dry, get up, get a cup of coffee, get toast, a glass of wine, depending on what time it is. Take a break and walk away from it.
Yeah, I'm sending it to you again.
Aha. All right, how are we doing? So everybody at the place where your painting is a little bit dry. Gosh, mine's not quite dry yet. A little bit longer.
That's wrong.
I'm going to move this over to here. So you can see the colors of the horse. You may want to try to get the colors of the horse, or you may just want to turn this into a totally different set of colors. You can. You can choose your colors as long as your
I
colors
love your red
match.
horse, Leah.
You like him? He's very jaunty.
Yes, I love him.
isn't he? I like him too. You see, red's an amazing underpainting. Cadmium red is really everything that sits on top of it looks bright and vibrant, and it is really, I guess it's just a variation on burnt sienna, but it's a little bit more dramatic.
Yeah, it looks like a war horse right now, like from Game
Yeah,
of
all
Thrones.
fire.
Yeah.
Totally.
Game of Thrones.
Totally. All right, I'm going to try and show you how to paint the colors of this horse, but you don't have to. You can make your horse purple and blue. You can make him yellow and orange. You do not have to. However, whatever colors you select, they should match the value, meaning the lightness or darkness. So this should be a 1. This should be like a 3, right? This should be a 5 if we're making colors, if the lightest is 1 and the darkest is 5, right? You just want to make sure that whatever colors you put next to each other, they represent the values. I'm just debating. I kind of laid it sort of thick with the dark, so I'm just waiting for this to dry. I'm also going to do definitely going to do a glaze over the top to create some texture. And I am going to use Payne's Gray because I happen to have it right here. I'm going to use a blue. So for those of you who are working in blue, you might want to try a reddish color or an orangey color, right? Something that's complementary. That's the sort of complementary, opposite. So I'm taking my blue here. And I'm going to get the biggest brush I've got, which is this one right now. And I'm going to dip a little bit in.
Oh, it looks great, Rashmi.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. All right. And then I'm going to do a very watery layer. This is called a glaze. You can do this over and over again on your paintings. It's like the sepia filter on your camera. Right?
No, it's a great filter.
It's a really fun technique. Now, you lose a little value differentiation. Things become darker. So you lose a little bit of that. So you will cover this up, but look at the nice textures that it's already creating. There's a little bit of back and forth already happening. Layering. That's because the more paint we have, the more layers of paint we have on our canvas, the more vibrant the colors. These first colors aren't super vibrant. We can see the white underneath. It's just simply because the first layer is there. So those of you, so you two who are working, go ahead and glaze it and send it through the thread.
Can I use a cadmium red on top?
Yeah, that sounds great. Oh, that looks wonderful, Rashmi.
Thank you.
These are drawing, Leah.
Let me see.
I've tweaked a few things since. This still look weird.
I still think you need to bring up the nose just a little bit. So you
Like
have
long,
it.
you mean?
Yeah, so here, I'll show you. I think, so yours is like down here. And I think you need to bring it up here.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah. Because this is still a touch too long. It's getting that this area here is really in that box, right? It's really the front, so it's bigger. It's like, remember when we did the drawing?
Yes, very some shortening
yes.
thing.
So this is larger than you think it should be.
Okay.
I went wild.
Let's see.
I don't know if it's gonna, because mine now it's like really orangey.
I love to see it. Come on, bring it
In the
on, bring it
Pictures
on.
not gonna look like this most probably, but the color that I used is called Indian yellow.
Ooh,
Yeah, yellow.
Yeah, it is like
Like the
it's
dirty yellow.
very orangey.
no, it's color of the marigolds.
Mhm.
Oh, that's
It's
nice.
beautiful. Just it's not really visible in a picture, in a photo. In the painting,
Oh, it
it's
looks
more
great.
yellow.
It looks amazing though. I love it. I love it.
Gorgeous. It actually looks like a sepia tone.
It does, doesn't it?
Yes.
Fantastic. But it gives us lots of texture.
Mm.
Right here, I was going to take a picture of mine too. I'll send mine across. Make sure to. Oh, neat. Look at the differences. It's neat, isn't it, to see how these layers kind of work
Yeah.
together. And then so what would you guess are the colors that are in this top layer as you look? I'm pulling out burnt umber, burnt sienna,
And the raw sienna.
and I don't think raw sienna, that's kind of greenish.
Mm-hmm.
Too
Yeah, it is.
greenish. I'm more likely to get, I'm getting titanium white. I'm gonna get a little yellow, cadmium yellow, maybe a little ochre. These are the colors I'm gonna start with. And then I'm gonna have a little bit of ultramarine blue for my base, to create the sort of shadowy colors. So here they all are. Displayed kind of silly. So let's see. I'm gonna put you upside down. My palette so y'all can see it. I'm gonna bring this up here. We'll probably want a little bit of quinacridone in here, but let's just see how that goes. All right, so I've got titanium white. I'm actually out of burnt sienna, but I've got a color that's very similar. It's kind of this red ochre color. Very close. Burnt umber. That'll put you. Burnt umber. A little yellow ochre. And then ultramarine blue. Oh, and then cadmium yellow. Wait, here it is. Yellow ochre. So I've got a couple of yellows, a kind of cooler yellow, which is the ochre, warmer one. I don't know. And then ultramarine blue. The ultramarine blue is to mix with my colors to make a shaded color, right? Because this is kind of an orangey. Are we ready? All right. So I'm still going to have a fairly biggish brush. This is about 3/4 of an inch. Or that would be about, I don't know, 8 millimeters, something like that. And I'm going to take a little bit of this ochre, and I'm going to take a little bit of my burnt sienna and a touch of white. That's actually not too bad. Perhaps if I add a little yellow. You want to be careful not to use too much white because the white will flatten it a little bit, and this is warm. I kind of like it on top. So I'm going to sort of stick with these colors at least at the beginning. So that's yellow ochre, burnt sienna, touch of white. I know that there's different values within this, but I'm just kind of getting, if I want to, I can get a little bit lighter with more white in here. Right, in this area is a little bit lighter, but I can also do that on my next layer too. And I'm still using this big brush because I want to make sure I'm not getting too persnickety with my mark making just yet. A little bit redder over here. It's fairly light. And then once I get that mid-tone in, I'm going to mix my, I'm going to mix in a little bit of ultramarine blue into my gold, my sort of burnt sienna mix, burnt sienna yellow ochre mix here. See, like this, to make a slightly darker color for like over here. We'll start with this down here, although this is more gray actually, so maybe I'll skip that out. For the darker parts, and I can get even darker, more blue for like here. So it's the same color, but I've just added some blue to it to tint it, to shade it a little bit. I guess it's interesting for some reason on this horse, I guess because there's a lot of midtones. I'm going into the midtones first. That's not my normal way to do it, but it feels to be the way to do it here. My darkest areas, I'm going to mix ultramarine blue and burnt umber, right? So for the shadow areas, for the really strong shadows like here, that will be ultramarine blue and brown. So you can see how dark this is. Oh, come up a little bit. Just want to a little bit up. Right, so here's my ultramarine blue down here, here's my burnt umber. I'm mixing them together and I'm brushing them in over the top. Meow, meow.
Yeah, what can I use instead of yellow ochre? I don't have it right now.
What have you got?
I have burnt sienna, burnt umber, and a lot of yellows.
Just find a yellow that you like. Try a few. Try all of them.
Okay, I have all the cadmium yellows.
You can try cadmium yellow, see if that'll work for you. I bet you that'll work okay.
But wouldn't it be a bit too bright?
You might mitigate it with a little white.
To you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if if you've got like other yellows, you can try them too. Like if you've got Naples yellow, you could try.
Yeah,
it.
I have that. I have.
And try Naples too. Naples is it might be too dull. So that's why you might mix them together.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm launching. Did I send?
All right.
I mean, maybe it doesn't look quite right. I just sent it to you.
Okay, let's see. That looks great, Raj. You know what? He looks ready to me.
Good.
Yeah. Do it. How are you launching? Maybe a yellow ochre for the lighter colors and layer burnt sienna on top.
I think I could maybe. Yes, something like that. Yeah. This white mane is annoying from a watercolor point of view.
you're gonna want to preserve that. If you've got any of that stuff, you might even want to paint over it with the, do you have any of that stuff where you can protect whites?
Oh yeah, but
Maybe just around the edges here, you might want to paint a little bit of that in just so that you can get some of that texture without painting in too far.
yes, that's good thinking.
Yeah,
Because otherwise
just
it can
there.
cost a bit.
Yeah. So if you paint,
Then I'm gonna have to wait for it to or to work to
Mhm.
dry.
that's a good, well, you haven't had your break yet, so put that
Oof.
in and then take your break.
I'm just wondering if actually the Naples yellow wouldn't be a good addition
Try it.
for the main.
Try a little bit, not too much.
Not too much.
Mostly
but
white.
mhm.
Touch. I don't know. Try it. Naples yellow, maybe ochre, yellow ochre, one of those.
I'm starting to be monothematic about the Naples yellow because I like it so much. It was a discovery for me.
Naples yellow is a wonderful addition to the palette. Here, I'm putting some down right
But
here.
it's a bit toxic. I wish I could find like an equivalent.
Well, they must have one in watercolor. They've got everything.
Oh, they have Naples yellow, but I think.
But I mean,
Naples
they
yellow-
must have an equivalent in watercolor.
No, I mean there is Naples yellow in watercolor.
But I mean, there must be an equivalent that's not so toxic.
I don't
Not
know.
into that.
I didn't
No.
come across it.
Hmm. Maybe the Hanzas have it.
The Hanses are bright. And the thing is, Naples yellow is it's like a pale
So
dirty.
dull. Yeah, it's got a lot of white in it. It's got a lot of white in it. It definitely neutralizes the brightness. There we go. So I'm adding in a little bit of, it looks yellower on the screen. And it is, it's got a duller appearance when you're looking at it in person. Yeah, so let's try. Raggedy brush. Yeah. I'm looking for kind of a fat, raggedy brush. Big. But I wanted to have kind of ragged edges. Right, like this. I don't want it smooth. Like this one is smooth. This is a smooth edge brush. Right where I could get over here. See how smooth these edges are? They're not raggedy. This is a little bit raggedier, smoother. Not ragged. Big and ragged. Let's see. Let's try a touch of, yeah, I'm putting in a little bit of ochre too, but I think that's not too bad. It's nice. It's nice, Anik, and it seems to kind of, how do I say it? It seems to kind of, it sits nicely on top of our underpaintings too. So notice I'm doing a kind of, because I have a raggedy brush and the paint's sitting kind of funny, I can do a sort of a looser, rougher edge for the hair. Here and here, it's a little bit more golden. Notice I'm kind of using the corner a little bit more, but mostly I'm doing this kind of soft edge using this big raggedy brush. This is a lot harder to do if you're using one of those brushes that sort of automatically smooths itself out. And notice I haven't used this color for the face of the horse because I don't think that's what's actually happening.
I think
So
it's
I'm gonna,
more like
yep, so I'm gonna go to a smaller, well, it's whiter, really.
and yeah, and whiter.
I'm
And I
just-
think that you, as you said, the red one and the red, the bottom.
Yeah, so I'm going in here and I'm kind of brushing in just plain old titanium white. Now there is a little pink down here, so I'm kind of stopping here and just kind of getting the whites in. I might even brush in a little white. But I feel like at this point, before I go any farther with the horse, I actually, oh, I realized I didn't do, I'm gonna do the ears as well. The inside of the ears I wanna do with the red, the burnt sienna, yellow ochre, and ultramarine blue. See how it's a little bit darker? And same here. Kind of getting in that darker, and actually it's quite dark, so I'm adding a little burnt umber down here, a touch in here. And also, I want to, it's not quite dark enough yet, but it's a little bit darker. Yeah. Then I'm going to add a little bit of the, I'm going to clean out my brush. Add a little bit of the original kind of lightish mixture here. But now that I've got this in, what I really want to do is get my background color in, because this is the moment to do it. And I'm going to do the cheating old standby, which is, anybody know? What is that?
Turquoise.
Or like I have this crazy cobalt teal.
Cobalt teal.
It's super easy. So you could use blue, you could do green. I'm gonna use this stuff just because I know.
I'm gonna go turquoise.
Yeah, right? It's just, I mean, if we want to finish it up and know it'll look good.
That's
Turquoise is one of
100%
those
good look.
fantastic colors. I'm gonna go back to like my thickish brush, which has a lot of white on it right now. So
And I'm gonna add a little bit of pearl on the turquoise.
yeah, there you go. So it's important, even though we haven't got much detail in, it's important at this phase to block in your background so that you can see, look at what this background is doing. Oh, you'll get kind of hyper focused on details, but we need to see what our background can do for our painting. And look just how quickly and easily it pushes the painting forward, because it's a color that's kind of complementary, definitely complementary, right? So without getting much difference, now I kind of know, I can see what areas I need to work to get more detail. Like I need to work down here. I don't have that quite right. Need to definitely bring my mane down further. I'm gonna actually go change my water at this point. All right. And now I can start addressing some of these edges. What do I mean by that? Because painting is all about the edges.
Soft and hard.
Soft and hard, right? And that's usually where a light and a dark area meet. So I'm grabbing a little bit of my main color, which is Naples yellow, and I'm gonna kind of push him into, even though the paint is sort of wet with the blue background, look how, I'll get this a little bit this way so you can see. See how it kind of actually works. That's because there's a little bit of transparency to the main. This is not the best brush for this. It's more raggedy. Okay, I'm gonna switch to now I'm not a fan brush person, but I like a fan that's been cut. So I'm gonna take my cut fan. There we go. So see how I'm kind of taking the fan to brush into, and it's okay that the paint is wet. Make sure I got that shit right. I think the other thing I need here, I'm gonna do this with a little brush. I have a little pointed brush. Just go in with some dark. So I'm mixing some of the, let's see, this is burnt umber and burnt sienna and a touch of yellow. It's darker, so I'm using more burnt umber just to darken it a little bit. And see how I'm kind of going into this edge? There's a little bit of a shadow here. Okay, so I'm using my brush. There's too much shadow there, but I can add that in. And I'm adding this in towards the edge here. And now I'm going to brush over it with lighter. You can still see it. And here's a little, right? It's a little bit of mane coming off. I can still see it, but it's not so strong. This is the magic of the soft edge. And notice I'm working everything, it's still quite wet. I'm gonna do the same thing up here a bit, kind of brush over. Now, I need more ultramarine blue. Is it? I'm gonna work on the eye a little bit. Oh yeah, Ani, that's looking great. That's looking amazing.
This was turquoise. Really made it.
Yes, the turquoise did a lot. So now I'm kind of, darkly outlining the eye. It's a little bit darker underneath. There's a kind of a dark, and then it looks like there's kind of a very light, sort of reddy color here. It's not white, but it's definitely lighter than what's happening in this, where the iris is. So it's dark down here. Up here, it's lighter. It's kind of this light gray color, the outline on the edge. And then there's a little white dot. So a couple of other things to notice about this. Actually, let me get them in here first. The inside of the iris up here is a little bit lighter than the bottom of the iris. It's darker. And then there's this little reflected edge, which is just a little white dot. I can kind of put right there. The top right lid of the horse's eye is kind of this light gray. It's a little bit gray on the top here too. And the gray I'm getting by just adding white to burnt umber and ultramarine blue, which is what I'd like to try and add down here. Right, a little bit up to. Notice I'm adjusting my color because I need to make it a little bit darker and a little bit bluer right on the canvas before it dries. If you're quick, you can sometimes do this. And then there's this kind of dark area. It's quite dark. Really can't even see it in the underpainting. It was very hard to see. So burnt umber and ultramarine blue, right? And I'm going to try just a little bit of burnt sienna and yellow and white for the pinky color of the nose. See how that kind of works? It's a lot of white. I was going to get quinacridone, but I don't think we need it. So now I'm laying down this very light color, but it's not light the way this is light, right? It's a little bit. It's got a little bit of a tint to it, pinky tint to it. There's a little bit of nostril. I'm going to send this over so you guys can really see what's happening. If you look at this closely here, look at what's happening with the mouth. There are areas kind of here and down here, which we didn't include in our sketch because we couldn't really see them. They were kind of covered by the shadow. So now we want to add them in. They're like a 4.5 on a 5 scale. Right, they're like a little bit kind of darker here. Super dark in the middle of the mouth, like right here. Little dark edge here so you can see his little smile. Adding a dark here. See how those things are starting to come out as I'm, and then I add a touch of white to that mix to get what's below, which is just a touch. And then I'm going to bring this down. I'm looking at this. Now I'm bringing this down kind of into that edge. This is later. Darkness. Should be a little bit. I know I went through that a lot fast because I noticed we were, I mean, we'll go a little extra time, but I noticed we were kind of headed towards time. So I wanted to make sure. I covered all the things, but if you feel like you've missed something, absolutely ask me.
Yeah, I'm running a little behind you. I mean, quite
That's
behind.
fine. That's fine.
So what was
So
the
what-
mix for this dark area on the left side of the horse? Yeah.
That's ultramarine. The darkest areas will always be ultramarine blue and burnt umber.
Okay.
That's your basic black, right? Your kind of warm black.
But I already had ultramarine blue in my
It's okay.
base.
You're mixing it and making it darker.
Okay.
Ultramarine blue and burnt umber are almost a black, really.
Hmm. And what was your white mix for the main?
It was Naples yellow. Do you have Naples yellow? You do, don't you?
Yes, yes.
Naples yellow and white, mostly white.
Yeah.
Thank you for making me repeat it. It's good. I know I went through it fast, so do not
No,
hesitate
actually,
to ask.
I had actually gone somewhere like to see someone at the door.
Right.
So
So you had no, but it's good. I went fast because I noticed we were kind of running out of time. So definitely have me repeat it. I'm kind of trimming my eye back as I start to add in my darker midtones in here. And I get those darker midtones by mixing a touch of blue in with my
your
burnt
horse is
sienna.
looking amazing.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I can't even see, you're like right in the middle of it. You're like, I don't even know what this looks like. I'm racing through, trying to get as much as I can in to show you guys how to get the details. So I need to remember to tell you. This part is kind of light. So now I'm really adjusting my light and dark midtones. What are the midtones, you guys? What does the midtone mean in a
Between the
painting?
dark and the light.
Right? So you've got dark, we've got light and we've got dark. Those are very easy to see. But the midtones are like literally the tones in between light and dark.
And that sometimes actually it's what gives a 3D effect.
Yeah, so you start with your dark and your light, and then you start adjusting. So see, I'm kind of adjusting in here, the midtones, and I will take a picture so you can see it closely on the nose and around the eye, the darks and the lights.
Oops.
Whoops.
It's okay. Something went darker, but it's easy to adjust.
Yes, yes. And fortunately, it tends to dry later.
Yes.
Right? So I'm painting in, I'm actually adjusting my colors once again by adding the darker right into the wet paint before it dries. It's a little tricky to do that with with acrylic, because acrylic dries so fast. But notice I'm able to kind of adjust colors. So I have that light, that medium, and that dark. Because I'm working edges, I'm doing a lot more. I'm kind of working where the dark and light areas meet, dark, medium, and light areas. Actually, it's turning out pretty, oops, that shape is terrible. There we go. That better. Anything that's under the neck is slightly shaded. So even if you're mixing burnt sienna and yellow ochre or yellow of some kind, you're going to want to add a touch of blue. Just see how I can make that just a titch darker. This area under the neck is definitely darker. And then there's the crazy shadow happening. Actually, it gets kind of lighter here, so I'm not going to mess with that too much. And I can see, like right here, there's a tiny little white edge or a light edge. So I'm going in with my white to paint that in. And I want to darken this dark a little bit, so I'm adding in a little bit of ultramarine. Because the horse has got kind of a circular pattern, I'm trying to see which direction the strokes are going. You know, the neck sort of shadows are kind of casting this way, horizontally. Yesterday's face class went for like almost 3 hours, 2.5 hours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because it was a complicated face. And I was like, oh my God, you guys are still working. You know, if somebody's still working like kind of dedicatedly, I'm not going to stop them in the middle of that. It was crazy.
I think that I will have to stop because I hear the alarm going off in the corridor. This
right.
alarm is 5-year-old and
Oh
has
no,
name.
gotcha, gotcha.
So I thank you for
All right,
great
wonderful.
afternoon, ladies.
Send
my
it
afternoon.
this afternoon, evening, right? Send it over when you're done with it, please.
Sure. I mean, I've sent where I'm at right now, and
Okay,
I
great.
think that still it works with the teal turquoise simply.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Oh my gosh, it's wonderful. And I love your light. I love your pink here. I even love that this white is a little bit more abrupt. I think you can really see the front. I like that. It looks great. It looks
Thank
great.
you.
Don't do too much more. Put a little reflected dot, maybe is the last thing you
Yep.
do in your eye, and then you're done. Yep,
Thank you.
it's wonderful.
Okay. Have a good weekend.
Great
ladies.
work. Have a
See
wonderful time.
See you in
You
2
too.
weeks. Bye bye.
Bye.
For those of you who are hanging around, let's hang around just a little bit longer and see how far we can get. I started a little bit late too, so we were yammering, waiting for everybody to roll in and me nattering on about being a grandparent. You know how it is. Well, once you're a grandparent, you know. Here's where my guy is. I think I still need to adjust a little bit the shape of the head this way, so I'm gonna bring it out. Here, hold on. Hope I can send it over. I feel like the face on the left side still needs a little bit of shaping. I think I let my white mane creep in a little too far. So now that that's dry, I'm gonna take this darker color and kind of brush in. See how I can like just go right into my white paint. I can go into my paint to reshape. Let's see here, right? This is there. And now I'm really kind of going around and looking for the light dark shapes that I can adjust. I'm gonna put that off a little too much.
Hello.
That's Zoe.
Yeah. Yes.
So one of the things I noticed about this this bit here, one of the things I noticed about this area here, if I can go in with it, so I painted it this sort of mid-tone color, but now I'm going in and adding a dark line here on the edge with burnt umber. It's too strong right now. Here and here, and then up in here, right? To sort of emphasize that bone structure, maybe even a little bit in here. Now that's too strong on its own. So I'm going to go back over with my medium tone and paint up also almost to the edge. But to have just a little bit of it there, it helps kind of, because there's a tiny little shadow. And then I'm going to adjust like this little, right? So it goes over. Okay, I can see I went a little bit too far with this, so I'm going to take my background color. So see how I'm kind of carving out shapes? Carving out. Got a little blue in the name, so I'll wait until that goes. Now I've lost a little too much here. So
It's looking great, Leah.
It's looking good, thank you. We're
Definitely going to sell that one.
yeah. I hope so. Whenever I have a show, I always tell my my patrons, the people who buy stuff, about you guys. I'm like, ah, yes, my students predicted I would sell this one. They start laughing, like, what? Anybody have, are you going paddling this week, Sandra?
Oh, I had a very frustrating experience. I was going to take a friend paddling. She was here from New York. She stayed at work too late and we didn't make it. It was so frustrating. Spent the last 2 hours.
I love the obsession of it. It's so great.
But it's fantastic for me. I mean,
right? How
the
relaxing.
animals, you know what? Like I find tree bathing like very healing. But
Yeah.
the river is that and more. So you've got the trees, but on top of that, you've got the energy of a river. And so it's sort of relaxing and energizing at the same time.
That is wonderful.
Absolutely. And so distressing because it's so beautiful and there's
Well,
lots of animals.
and if you think about it, when we get to the end of our life, all we're gonna really
I'm not
want
at the
is
end of my
as
life.
many. No, not you. I'm not saying you. I'm sorry. Let me.
No, but I mean, no, but
rephrase
even
it.
even so, what you were going to say?
What I was going to say was, I feel like at the end of our lives, this is what we're going to remember. The number of times we allowed ourselves to forest bathe, the number of times, like at the end of our life, we're not going to be going, God, I should have worked harder.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? We're going to be like, God, I should have like enjoyed my life more.
I
Right?
think so. I see some people at work who that's all they obsess about, and then they retire, and a few years later nobody even remembers their names.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no one will remember any of us. Like, we might be lucky. I mean, people will remember us. I mean, if we're lucky, people will remember us for about 150 years. Then everyone we know will be dead. So
No,
but
I mean at work, nobody remembers their name at work. So
that's
they just
true.
spent their life, they sacrifice their,
Okay.
spending time with their children and their pets and doing nice hobbies for work. And at the end of the day,
I mean, I think there's a great thing to be said for enjoying your work, right? And finding it, meaning in it. But yeah, at the end of our lives, I think we're going to look back at our life and say, how often, how much of this time did I get? Right? How much of that de-stressing time where I appreciated the things that I can only appreciate in the body. Like, that's where I think we're going to be.
Yep.
And I think that's what I think all the time when I think about this stuff. I think that's, that's where it's at. Forest bathing. The trees are
I
like,
really
yeah, we told you guys. If only you dumb humans would listen. I'm in a very sort of long view kind of look at things. One of the things I'm doing right now is I'm the trustee for the artistic legacy of a painter and an artist. So it's a friend of mine who died about 2 or 3 years ago, 69, cancer. And she basically left me in charge of making sure that her paintings and her music and her art were seen in the world, right, and experienced. Actually, she left somebody else in charge of it, and then they did it for a couple of years, and they did all the categorizing, and then they were like, we're tired. So I was the next person to take it over. And I've been thinking about what that means. I have a ton of her journals, and I thought, I bet you I should do little like blog posts writing about her thoughts on the creative process. Like, she was kind of an obsessive journaler. And like that would be, and she was kind of well known as a folk artist. So as a folk musician in our area, her name is Linda Waterfall. So like, I was like, I bet she's got a lot of fans who would want to hear her thoughts on the creative process through her journals.
Yeah, she wrote about that, yeah.
She did. Isn't that neat? So I'm like, just thinking about what it is in your life that you leave. How do you, kind of, what do we leave behind, really?
But even, I mean, for artists, obviously you leave something, but even if you don't leave anything behind.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the point of sacrificing your life for something that
you leave behind, literally?
But is nothing. But is nothing. People are not going to remember you for that.
You're absolutely right. They'll remember you if you were nice to them.
Yes,
they'll remember that.
Like,
they remember kindness.
Yeah.
Meaning that no one's going to remember Trump.
oh my God. It's going to.
Hopefully this means he'll never be able to.
Hopefully it will go down in infamy.
Right, yes, they can remember you if you're the biggest asshole ever. I hope that this means he'll never be able to run again. That's my,
Oh gosh, I hope not. I hope
right?
not.
Right?
I don't think I can stay in this country for.
That's, yeah. Okay, I got in and I got a little bit crazy with my white, so I'm going into the very small liner brush right now to kind of brush in a little bit more detail and dark into my horsey side. There we go.
Looks hell of a mess, my thing. I'm trying to rush through it.
Don't rush through, yes. See, I'm gonna actually turn off what I would like to do, can you hold them up really briefly, ladies, and then I'll probably turn
It's
off
got
the,
masking fluid all over it.
here, hold on. Oh, I like the blue, hold on, stay there.
But that's masking fluid.
Oh, I love it, that's cool, excellent. So hold it up, wherever you're at. Rosh, can we see?
Yeah, I'm just doing it. 1 sec.
I'll keep us on for another 20 minutes or so, so we can
How
finish.
come yours and mine are facing in different directions?
Probably because the camera switches. It doesn't look to me like
Yours-
it's facing in different directions.
Oh, okay. Yours and Russian is facing in the same direction.
Yeah. It's weird. So it has
I
to do
think
with
both
how
of
your
yours
camera.
in the same direction.
Sorry?
Everyone looks like it's in the same direction to me.
Oh, good, because mine doesn't.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think
well-
there's a way that like your camera does a reverse thing. I think all of our cameras are doing the reverse thing. Like actually, when I look at it, my horse is actually facing this direction. If I
Oh, good.
turn
That's
around and look
on
at it.
camera.
So
That's-
there's
that's
a
exactly what I-
reverse thing that's happening, but because everybody's reversed. Yeah, I've heard like yoga teachers talk about this that are doing, you know what I mean? That are like, but hold on, let me stop the recording because that's,